Hey everyone. So back for just a really quick update. During the recording of my last video, I realized that I was calculating this sort of accuracy metric wrong based on the SAS effects. So previously what I had was, I think, an 80% chance of hitting when the Pokemon was frozen, which I realized is not actually correct. Um, it's only a 20% chance that you wake up any single turn. So one thing that I guess I kind of learned about Pokemon through doing this is you're never guaranteed to get out of a freeze. It can actually go on forever. So we multiply the accuracy by 0.2 in that case. And then the other one that was wrong was when the Pokemon is asleep. So it's a 33% chance that you wake up, um, except that increases, or rather, you could say it compounds every single turn. So I was looking through the code and I found the status counter. So on the first turn after you've fallen asleep, you have a 33% chance of, waking up and doing your move. The second turn is 66% chance, and then turn 3 about a 99% chance that you will wake up. And yeah, so just really minor updates based off of the last video. I guess I did want to talk about the benchmarks though a little bit, and this just kind of gives a little bit of an idea into what the process of doing this kind of a project is. So I did 3 different benchmarks. So training the 2 bots, whereas player 1 had those updates I just showed you right now, versus player 2, who has no concept of the status effect changes. And so if we look back at how this was performing before I made those most recent updates, it seemed like player 1 was winning the majority of the time when it got up to the higher numbers, but I'm actually seeing some mixed results. So player 1 did win the very first training set, but I looked at this number and I thought, oh, that's not very significant. Let me try it again. And what I found the next 2 runs were actually that player 2 won more than player 1 did. So that was really surprising to me. So I kind of had this question of like, is it worth keeping these changes in the network? What I ended up doing was I trained the bot and then tested it live, and it got to an 1130 ELO rating. I think the highest it got in this run was like 1180. At one point it was like 6-2, but it ended up finishing 6-4. Just kind of the stats right here on that. I did want to actually walk through one of the battles though, just because I feel like I don't show enough of the bot actually battling. And so there are some cool things I did notice in this match, and most of them were pertaining to like the newer logic that I kind of have added in. So I think we're going to see it kind of coming up in a little bit. Their Charizard just Mega Evolved. So one thing I don't think I've talked about so far is that my bot actually is not using Mega Evolutions at all. So how well my bot's doing, it's doing all of it, honestly kind of playing with like a subset of the mechanics that can help it. So I think that the next thing I want to do is add in Mega Evolutions, and I think that's really going to boost the bot, because I've noticed that a lot of these games, it's like it's hard because the teams can be a little bit uneven, honestly. Like there's sometimes the opponent just has a better team than you, but I'm almost kind of putting myself at even more of a disadvantage there when I am not using Mega Evolution. It's like I'm not maximizing the usage of my Pokemon. So this was a good switch by them. They figured I was going to use Body Slam, so they switched to a Ghost type. Here I send up my Rayquaza, and this is when things start to get a little bit interesting. So he's going to use Will-O-Wisp, so at this point Rayquaza is burned, and his attack is going to be hindered. And so if we jump over to the code really quickly, we can see that now this is the turn before Rayquaza was burned. We can see the expected damage was up close to 2, and now afterwards it's dropped down to below 1 because he is burned. And so it was cool just to see that kind of, how applicable it can be for the bot to have this information. And we're going to see another example of that come up in a second. So we got Nidoking fighting his Dusknoir. it's going okay, but they managed to feint my Nidoking. Going to send out Claydol, and so Claydol is going to use Earthquake, do a lot of damage, and then he gets burned. And this was part of what I thought was really cool. So at this point, it's already used Earthquake, but instead it decides to use Psychic because now it's recognized that, okay, I'm burned, so my attack stat has been severely cut down. So now it's beneficial for me to use special attacks. So it's just really cool to see that kind of applied, within the context of the game and see how it can really make a difference. And I am actually going to win this game, so got a pretty severe lead in terms of this game. I think this was against an opponent who is under an 1100 rating, so not like a huge victory, but it's cool just to see the bot learning, improving, and doing its thing. So yeah, next time I'll probably be looking at some Mega Evolution code, but that's it for now. Thanks.